Welcome back, Original Gangsters. OG with you out here at the abandoned Indian burial grounds on the side of Danger Mountain. It is smoky, and that's all thanks to Oregon. We're getting secondhand smoke from the state of Oregon. It's kind of like when you used to ride with your Aunt Gladys on the bench seat of her old Buick to the bingo palace while she chain smoked Pall Malls all the way there, giving your leg a little squeeze every once in a while. No? That didn't happen to you guys? Just to me? All right, let's get back to the actual topic at hand. We'll forget all about Aunt Gladys. That never happened. That was just for educational purposes only. A while back, I made a video about the Humble Mini 14 and whether it was a viable option for your assault rifle or a home defense rifle, a range defense rifle, in lieu of an AR-15. And I think we can all agree that a Mini 14 is probably not going to be a stand-in for an AR-15. Well, since that time, at the suggestion of a viewer, I actually put my stainless new model Mini 14 into a nice fancy Boyd stock. Boy, it's a beautiful little rifle. This is a newer model. This is a 584 series. Newer model Mini 14. Love this thing, and it's a lot of fun to shoot. Now recently, some other cool kids on YouTube got a hold of a whole stockpile of government barrel Mini 14s. These were police trade-ins, probably from some jail or prison. They came in a synthetic stock. They were beautiful government barrel models. OG waited around for his email, somehow missed the email by about an hour, and I missed out on that purchase. That's just kind of the story of my life. I grew up with Mini 14s. I grew up with the old late 70s, early 80s Mini 14s, the ones that were famous for being inaccurate. Now, feeling left out, I got online and I wanted to find an old beat-up Mini 14, the one with the pencil barrel. And lo and behold, I found one. This is also a police trade-in, probably from some jail or prison. This one happens to be in stainless, but as you can tell by the thin, non-tapered barrel and the blade front sight, this is one of the early Mini 14s, not the earliest. This is a 186 serial number, and on Ruger's website, it shows me that this was shipped in 1992. So this one's a little newer than my days shooting the old Mini 14s, but I still really like this thing. I originally bought this thing kind of intending to maybe shoot it for a little while, maybe do a video on it, and then sell it. I don't know. I've been fondling this thing around the Danger Studio for the last week or so. Man, this thing is fun. And I'm looking forward to shooting that out here today. It's got a very worn-in action. I just love the sound of it. I love the feel of it. And I don't plan on doing much to this rifle. It's not drilled and tapped for a scope, and I know there's all kinds of attachments that you can put on your Mini 14 to add optics. I'm thinking of leaving this one just 100% missionary style the way it is. I might even leave this wooden stock. I really kind of like it. But one thing we've always heard is that the old Mini 14s were horribly inaccurate, especially as they heated up, and that the new Mini 14s were much more accurate due to a new modified gas system and a tapered, heavier barrel. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pit the old Mini 14 against the new Mini 14, and I've taken off the little Burst Fast Fire red dot sight that I normally keep on the new Mini 14. I've taken that off so the competition will be fair. I've just got a little ghost ring peep sight on the new Mini 14, and of course the old Mini 14 comes with a blade style peep sight. This one actually happens to be dented, worn out, scraped. Wherever this thing was stored, whether it was in a patrol car or some kind of a locker, this sight right here, this sight tower, was taking all of the abuse. Other than the scratches and wear on this rear sight, this thing actually doesn't show a lot of wear. It's a stainless model. I actually prefer that over the blue models. And I don't know, I'm just really looking forward to shooting this thing. So let's shut up and put some rounds on a target. If you're not already a member of Patreon and you'd like to join us over on Patreon, get these videos early and get some extra little giveaways every once in a while, there's a link down in the description. Thank you very much. You guys keep us going. I've made a target downrange with a column for the old rifle and for the new rifle, and we are going to sight this thing in first at 25 yards. I'd love to get a 50, 200 yard zero on these things, but remember, we're looking at iron sights, and without using the Burris red dot on my newer model rifle, not 100% confident what I can do. But I want to shoot this thing a little while out here today and see, as the barrel heats up, does our accuracy absolutely go to shit as an internet myth, or is the thing actually going to do okay and able to hold some decent groups? Let's take a look at this old versus new Mini 14. Okay, we need to get this old rifle dialed in. I don't know anything about its zero or where it was set from the previous agency. So let's see if we can walk these rounds to a zero, a 25-yard zero, and then we're going to test this rifle for good by putting a 100-yard steel out there and pinging the steel. This kind of rifle with open sights, all I'm hoping for is a good 100-yard zero. I'm not going to try for anything greater on this rifle. Boy, tough to even see with no sights here. Got a pretty tight group here at 25 plus yards. It's just on the wrong dot. I'm going to save you guys the torture of my hour-long sighting in process. Enjoy this montage. And I already know what you guys are going to say. Oh, gee, I could have done so much better with my AR-15. Yeah, I get that. But this is not an AR-15. That's kind of the point. Something different. Maybe something for those guys who live in banned states who don't want to mess with AR-15s. We had all these low rounds first. We brought our elevation up. Our windage was off to the right. Drifted it over to the left. I believe these last two rounds right here are the good ones. Okay, one final group to confirm zero at 25 yards. Holy shit, we're in there. Okay, now we're going to run the 584 series Ruger Mini 14 with no red dot, just iron sights. We're going to run it on the dot on the top right. And let's see if this is any easier. I don't know. Anything's got to be easier than that last one. Sure like this this Boyd stock. It's heavy, but the angle sure is nice for getting a good cheek weld and sight picture. I was banging away at the Mini 14 rapid fire a minute ago. Put some rounds down here near that top dot. Let's not count those. Those are not aimed shots and not even made with the new rifle. First rounds out of the 584 series Ruger right there. I'm not even sure I've ever really even worked with the iron sights on this. I think I put a LPVO on there for the last video, and then I went right to a red dot. But right out of the truck, we are dialed in. 25 yards though, you extrapolate that out to 100 yards. That tiny little group there that is measuring about 1 inch, 25 yards, about a 4-inch group at 100 yards. And I think we should shoot some steel just to confirm we can do it. I moved this operation to the Valley County Gun Club outside of Cascade, Idaho, because I had to come down here and do some maintenance anyway. So let's use their 100-yard range and see what we can do. We're dialed in for 25 yards. Let's go ahead and put it out there at 100 yards on our steel bad guy. We've got a drone watching downrange. Let's make sure we can get hits at 100, and then we'll call this done. All right, 100 yards with our 25-yard zero. Let's give this thing a whirl. We got a hit right in the forehead. Another hit. Looks like right in the center of the face. I boogered that one. Good hit. Oh my God, these two clowns, Annie and Angus, have decided that instead of me loading the truck to go to the range, that they've loaded themselves in the truck to go to the lake. So it looks like I'm taking the dogs to the lake, and we'll get back to range time shortly. So one place where the 1992 Ruger was improved is in the rear sight. This little rear sight housing holds a tiny little black disc that looks smaller than a dime with a hole punched through it. It is adjustable here on the top for elevation and adjustable on the side for windage, so that's pretty cool for that era. But it's a little bit harder to see. You have to get a little bit deeper into this stock, and it's harder to do with Ear Pro and eyeglasses on. But I do like the front blade. It is more visible when looking through the rear peep sight. The 584 series Ruger has a little bit of an elevated sight tower with a tiny little peep sight as well. It's protected. It's a lot more protected than the old one was. If you've ever reassembled a Mini 14, you know that the rifle has to be tipped upside down and set on a surface to slam this trigger housing back in. And that can damage your rear sight if it's not protected or somehow elevated off the edge of your bench. As I mentioned, I like the 1992 Ruger's front blade. It's way more visible than is this little black one, even though it's protected by little wings. Definitely a sturdier setup on the newer Rugers, but kind of like the old one still, just a FUD. The most notable features on these Mini 14s when you look at them from afar or when you see them in a YouTube video or online, first thing you're going to notice is the tapered barrel of the new Mini 14s and then the little stubby front sight that's protected by wings, compared with the thin pencil barrel of the old Mini 14s and its very iconic front blade sight. Working our way back, the gas blocks on these rifles both look very, very similar, and they include a little sling swivel for the front of your sling. The handguard that protects your little fingies from the hot gas tube on these rifles has seen very little changes over the past 34 years. As you can see from the top of the action, the older 1992 Mini 14 does not come with any options for mounting optics, whereas the newer Mini 14 came out of the box drilled and tapped for mounting a scope or at least a rail. Of course, the actions on these rifles are almost identical, and they mimic the action of an M1 Garand, very similar to an M1 carbine also. This rotating bolt action is known for being very reliable, even in dirt and with all kinds of fouling and garbage in there. Looking up into the magazine wells of these rifles, you see very slight differences, but for the most part, this entire locking block area has remained mostly unchanged. The rear of the 1992 Mini 14 comes with a stainless steel sling swivel to complete the sling attachment package and comes with Ruger's famous curved buttstock, which I guess is for snug it into your shoulder extra tight when you're going to shoot down on prisoners from your tower. Now, my 1992 Mini 14 has sort of an original beat-up stock with this flat cheek weld, and I don't know, there's nicks and scratches and dings all over it, in addition to a inventory number that has been painted on the side. Isn't that lovely? I guess they never wanted to lose the rifle. The inventory number painted on the stock does match another inventory number that has been hand engraved on the side of the action. It is my plan to prove this rifle semi-accurate and reliable, and if I can do so, I'm going to mount this up into the rifle rack of my side-by-side so that it can roll around with me here in the mountains, because I get the feeling that the Mini 14 is a little more impervious to just general dust, and I wouldn't have to break it down and clean it all the time just to make sure that it's working in this open-air cab. My 1992 Mini 14 came with this 20-round Ruger factory magazine that does show a little bit of rusting on it. It's got to be treated and cleaned up a little bit. But in addition to that magazine, I already owned a 30-round Ruger brand magazine. Now, despite never wanting to bet my life on Pro Mags, these things actually held up and did pretty well in my previous video. We had some malfunctions, and a lot of viewers attributed those malfunctions to the Pro Mag, but in fact, upon a later review of the video, we determined that the optic that was mounted low over the action was actually bouncing the spent cases back into the action and causing all kinds of malfunctions. So I've changed that rail and scope from the previous video over to this rail, I guess you'd call it, made by GG&G in Arizona. And this thing mounts the Burris Fastfire, a nice little simple red dot, perfectly. And I've had no problems ever since because I have a clear path of ejection now. And if your path of ejection isn't clear, you might want to consult your doctor and ask them if Ogesium is right for you. So just today in the mail, these two 20-round Ruger factory magazines arrived. I bought these from Gun Mag Warehouse, where I buy most of my magazines. Now, these things were labeled as blemished, and therefore they were a whole lot cheaper. But upon closer inspection, You could never find a blemish on these magazines except for the lovely spot where they engraved blemish right on the magazine. So thank you very much, Ruger, for going ahead and marking up my otherwise perfect magazines with blemish. A lot of people have a problem with the safeties on these guns. I just don't see the issue. I mean, yes, you have to reach inside the trigger guard, and in theory, on paper, that's bad juju to click the safety off while your finger is still in the trigger guard. But your finger comes back out and you're just fine. There probably could be a better design with a cross-bolt safety, but I just don't have any problem with that. Never have. Same with a SKS or any other number of rifles where the safety is in the trigger guard. We didn't really prove that this rifle is as accurate with its barrel. It took a lot more to get this thing sighted in. Now that it's sighted in, though, to be able to make smaller than torso shots at 100 yards is all I ever need out of an open-sighted, iron-sighted rifle. We didn't prove that it's better than the new 580 series rifles. If you had to get only one Mini 14 and you're in the market, first of all, you're going to find the 580 series rifles just about everywhere milk sold. And yeah, the prices are crazy. I get that. It's stupid prices on these rifles. But if you don't want to pay that, you just want a fun little surplus rifle, you can find these things all over the internet. Well, this one was about 650 chicken nuggets. Not a bad little toy. Definitely an alternative to the AR-15. I think the reason these rifles are so popular right now is that we're just over tacticalized. We're kind of tired of all of our AR-15s. We've all got a bunch of them. I'm not going to say we're completely tired of them, ready to throw them in a trash bin, but something like this is just old school cool. It's something new, and when you've got all the AR-15s you need, finding an old rifle like this is just dang fun. And no, I don't plan on putting this in a different stock. I don't plan on putting a scope on this. That takes all kinds of extra equipment that I'm not interested in. I've been down here cutting weeds on the 250-yard range at Valley County Gun Club so that we can actually get a view of our targets. But standing a mere 10 yards away from me is the Mini 14. I'm down here in wild animal country, and as I'm out here working, it's nice to know that old dog is standing by. All right, well, thanks for coming out here and checking out this old 1992 Ruger Mini 14. It's not the most tactical rifle out there. It certainly doesn't get groups that your AR-15 does. I get that. The point is, it's not an AR-15. For those people who don't want to mess with an AR-15 who live in restricted states, this is a good option. Even an old beater like this, a surplus from some old prison or jail, is still a better option than just fighting your way through your neighborhood with a handgun. So have we made any points out here today? No, other than that this is a viable rifle. Not the best rifle out there, but it's a viable rifle for self-defense. Show the Danger Show viewers who likes their new lawn. That's right, these two losers who've done nothing all day except lay around and get muddy feet and then jump up on our bed. Thanks a lot, clowns. You guys stay safe out there, stay armed whenever and wherever you are. And until next video, OG out.